Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new around here, welcome. My name is Divyanka and I'm a doctor of pharmacy here in the US. On this channel, I strive to provide you guys with resources to build that ideal professional life. Okay, so you've gotten a job offer, you've accepted it, and now it's time to actually start the job. Many and probably all jobs in the last 2 years have started remotely, and I personally have started both of my jobs remotely. So in this video, I wanted to go over 8 tips to really start this job successfully and make sure your foundation is set up well so that you're set up for success for the rest of your time in this role. The first is to make sure you set up operationally within the first few weeks. Now, what does this include? First and foremost, make sure that your laptop and all other necessary hardware is actually set up for you. So your laptop, your mouse, keyboard, monitor or monitors, desk, a space to work, all that kind of stuff. Make sure it is set up so that you're not setting it up while you're actually concurrently doing work. Now with laptops, sometimes there's extra coordination needed in terms of actually getting your laptop, setting it up in the way that's actually going to set you up for your role. So make sure you get all of that kind of squared away with at the beginning. Next, any and all HR material. There's a lot that you need to do when you start a job in terms of HR and benefits. You need to choose your benefits. You need to make sure all your elections are correct. You need to make sure all your HR paperwork is in, whether that's your I-9, any other information that you need, CVs, things like that, all types of documents. There's a lot that they need, so just make sure you do that in your first few weeks so that, again, you just get it over with, you make sure that it's in. You're gonna need to do it at some point, so just get it done with at the beginning. All your training, there's going to be a lot of it. I had literally months of it, and you wanna make sure that you can do as much as you can up front. And of course, you know, your manager or your company knows it's going to take a while to get through the training, but on your end, as fast as you can get through that, the faster you can get to the actual work, and training is just boring, so just get through it as fast as you can. Digital organization and folder structure. This is so important, especially, of course, if you're working remotely on your laptop. You're going to be saving documents, you're going to be needing to refer to certain documents, and in my case, I'm a medical writer, so all my work is documents, so you're going to need those things. Make sure your folder structure is set up for that, so when you get an email and you need to download something and save it, you save it in the right place so you can actually access it and refer to it at some point when you're going to need that information. This is so important. I need to go back to information all the time, and if I didn't have my folder structure set up the way that it is, it'd be really hard for me to find what I need. So just set it up at the beginning and get it ready to go. This is all tedious stuff, but you want to make sure you get it out of the way because, again, it's necessary. You're gonna have to do it at some point, so might as well get it done at the beginning when you're not also stressed about work and projects. Number 2, learn where the resources are. You're gonna need a plethora of resources to actually do your job successfully. Now, whether this is on your intranet, SOPs, other documents that tell you what you need to do and when you need to do it, those types of resources are going to be necessary for probably every project that you are going to be doing. So make sure you know where to find that information. And again, at the beginning, when you're just kind of going through training, is the best time to do this. Your training will probably lead to it, but if not, ask your manager, ask your colleagues, ask within your team where all the resources are, flag them, bookmark that. Again, make your life easy for when you're actually going to be doing work, and make sure you put it in a place where you can actually find it in the future. And the last bit of resources is knowing who to ask. So if it's not an actual digital resource or physical resource that you can have and save for later, make sure you know who's in charge of what, and when you have a question about something, who to go for. Now, you're always probably going to be learning about new people and their roles, but at the beginning, again, as much as you can learn about that, who to go to for what is going to help you out in the long run. Next, set up a frequent meeting time with your manager on a consistent basis. Communication is, of course, key, especially in a remote role and especially with your manager. So before it gets out of hand and you're not communicating with your manager, at the beginning, just set up a weekly or bi-weekly one-on-one where you know you have 30 minutes, an hour on the calendar with your manager for their time, and you can always cancel it in the future if you are busy that day, or if something comes up for your manager, or if you just have a lot of work and can't come and don't need the meeting, you can always cancel it. But having it on the books, having it scheduled on their calendar ensures that you actually get some of their time, weekly, bi-weekly, etc. In a remote world, it is very hard to have spontaneous conversations, and that's easier, of course, in office and can lead to great conversation and making sure you're getting in touch with your manager, but in a remote world, it's just quite impossible. So this approach avoids the situation of not actually getting any time with your manager. Also, reaching out to your manager and making sure this is set up at the beginning of your role will make you come across as super organized and put together, and it shows initiative. You are being responsible with your time, with your communication, and making sure that you're not just going to pop up and need something on a random day. You're going to schedule some time with your manager, you're going to explain what you need during that time, and of course there's going to be one-offs here and there, but again, this is a really good look during your first week at work. Next, kind of along the same topic, be intentional and regular about setting one-on-ones up with other colleagues. This is something I personally have to work on, but in the same way, again, you're working remotely, so not only do you want to stay connected to your manager and have that communication line open, but you want to do the same with all other colleagues. This is going to help you build your work network, and that is going to help you because when you need someone for something at work, you will probably have a better chance of knowing who to go to. Now, this is always also just good because this is going to broaden your knowledge about your company, about your role, about the work going on. And again, these are things that if work is priority and it's just a super busy week or a busy day, both parties are allowed to cancel or reschedule. But just having this, working at it consistently, trying to meet with colleagues, especially again while you work remotely, is going to help you feel more connected to your job, to your role, to your company. It's going to help you feel like you know what you're doing. And trust me, I didn't do this for a while and you feel really alone and siloed. So to avoid that, just make sure you're kind of consistently doing this, whether this is people on your immediate team, in your department, or even in other departments. It really doesn't matter. It's going to help and it'll help build your network as well. Number 5, take the time to understand all the expectations. Now, this is in regards to everything, all the kind of operational stuff. So what times you should be working, when you're expected to be online, how your team communicates, whether that's via email, via chat, only on Zoom, etc. Where to be present when, which meetings are important, which meetings can you not miss, and what meetings do you have some leeway with? What do you need to get involved in to not only excel in your role, but understand the role of others in your company? Even though you have a job and you have projects, there are other things that are going to need your attention. So what are those things? If you have thoughts regarding a colleague or about a manager or about your projects, who do you go to? Who do you contact? What are the right people? How does this team, how does this role measure success? Basically think about it like, what are you supposed to do in your first 100 days of your role, like a presidency? What is your manager, what is this role asking of you within the first month, the first 6 months, the first year? What do you need to do to be successful? Once you understand all of these different expectations, it will be easier for you to not only start your job and know that you're falling in line with where you're supposed to be, but also how you're performing in general. And again, understanding these at the beginning is just the easiest. And you'll of course learn as you go, but asking these questions to your manager will again show initiative. It is a really good look and it will help you succeed in your roles. So it's super, super helpful. Next, you want to make sure you are consistently updated on the teams, your departments, and the company's news. Now, a lot of companies, of course, send out emails weekly or bi-weekly to all the employees about company news, and departments have their own version of that. So if that's your way, then definitely make sure to read those, but also know that where on the intranet, etc., you can get this information. You want to make sure you know what's happening, not only within your team, but also your larger department and the company, because that directly affects your work. How are you going to impact the company if you don't actually know what's going on today, yesterday, this week, etc.? So just make it a habit when those news emails come in, don't glide over them, make sure you read them. And if those emails are not a thing at your company, then try to go out of your way to get that news. Next, keep a weekly work diary. Now, this is a super interesting tip because one of my managers told me this, and it's a really, really good way to keep on track with what you're doing and just take notes on everything. This is also super helpful with those one-on-ones with your manager. If you keep a weekly diary of all the people you met, all the conversations you had, all the things you've worked on, even if that's training. When you meet with your manager, you can just reflect on what you wrote for the past week, and then you have things to report on. Be like, in the last week, I met so-and-so and so-and-so, and I did XYZ. And it's a really organized way of just making sure you know what you did. And this can be, physical or digital, whatever works for you, but just keeping track of what you're doing on a weekly basis is super helpful and will help both you and your manager look at what you're doing, what you're involved in, and it'll help in so many different ways about your performance. So this is a super, super good tip. And again, we're working remotely, so it's especially helpful then because your manager's not seeing you every day. They're not talking to you every day necessarily. And this is a great way to stay on top of it and show your manager that, look, this is what I'm doing on a daily, on a weekly basis. This is how I'm using my time. And again, it helps you stay organized. Lastly, within the same theme, keep a project diary. So again, whether this is physical or digital, not only keep tabs on what you're doing on a daily, weekly basis in regards to everything in the last tip, but specifically make sure you keep note of all the different projects you are doing over time. This might seem tedious at the beginning, but trust me, in 3, 4, 5 months, a year down the road, you're not going to remember what you were doing. And when it comes to performance, when it comes to seeing what types of projects you want to be involved in, when it comes to pitching any type of work you want to do, this list is super helpful. Also, it's also helpful if you're ever going to be interviewing for any other job. Knowing what you did, how you impacted in this role is super important, and through your work and through your projects is the best way to show that. So keeping track of this is super important. I did this in all my internships. I do it in all my jobs. Make sure you're just keeping track of all the different projects you're doing, who you talked to do those projects, how you actually made an impact in those projects, what the outcome was, how it's being utilized, all those kinds of things. It is super, super, super helpful for your future. Those are my 8 tips on how to succeed while starting a job remotely. I have, like I mentioned, done this twice. My first role I started and completed remotely. I've done multiple freelance roles completely remotely, and my current role, I will be going into office eventually, but it has started and is still now remote. So I have gone through this for the past 2 years. I have worked remotely and from home for 2 years. So I definitely have a good bit of tips about this, and I would say, of course, there are things I can work on, but I've been pretty successful and happy with how I've really initiated working remotely and how I've built my professional relationships. So I wanted to share that advice with you guys. I know a lot of you are going to be graduating or starting new roles, and this is always helpful information. There are a lot of roles that are just chronically remote, so this can help, I think, a lot of you guys out there. I hope this was helpful as always. If you guys liked this video, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you have not. That is it for today's video. Thank you guys for stopping by. Hope you guys learned something. Good luck with starting your roles remotely, and you guys will see me in the next video.